Welcome to Tommy Threads. In this video, we all hear about a boyfriend who says, "I love you," and promises to be home, then disappears for a few days, ignores every call, and sends one lazy text before cutting contact. Post 1. The next post is from user 904535333. Am I overreacting? My boyfriend hasn't come home since Friday. It's now Sunday. My 24 female boyfriend, 27 male, left for a festival around 12 o'clock on Friday. He told me he loved me and that he'd see me that night since he worked on a Saturday, and then he'd go back to the festival on Sunday morning. I told him to have fun, be safe, that I'd see him that night. I went to work like normal and didn't hear anything from him all day, which didn't bother me since he was at a festival. Probably had bad service. And didn't want to spoil his fun by being on his phone. I got home after work around 12 a.m. and still hadn't heard anything. I was hungry and decided to have some food delivered, so I figured I'd call him and ask him if he wanted something for when he got home. It went straight to voicemail. Twice. I decided to check his location to see if maybe he's still stuck in the parking lot, and therefore would have horrible service as well, which was the case. Didn't think much of it, ordered my food, ate, and went to bed. I checked his location one more time and saw the bus was pulling just out of the parking area and on the road. When I woke up, he wasn't next to me. I immediately checked my phone, but didn't have any missed messages or calls. This started to slightly worry me, so I looked at his location again, and it showed him in a hotel somewhere. I figured he must have missed the last train home, and I'd see him soon. I went on about my day, deep cleaning the house, doing some laundry, etc., and didn't think about it anymore. Then around 4 p.m., I received a call from his boss, asking if I knew where he was, since he didn't show up for his shift at 3 p.m., and they couldn't reach him. I hadn't noticed the time. I called, FaceTime, text, and messaged him, but got no response. Then, around 5 p.m., I got one lousy message that he hurt his ankle and lost his wallet. I asked what happened, if he was okay, why didn't he come home, why he didn't let me know he was going to a hotel, why he was ignoring his boss and me, when was he coming home, and who he was with. None of our friends went to the festival. He went alone. It's now Sunday, and he still hasn't responded or come home. He turned his location settings off yesterday, around the same time he sent that text to me. I have this really bad feeling, like something is off. This is very out of character for him. We've been together for 6 years, and he's never done anything remotely like this. I'm worried, I'm angry, and I feel like he's hiding something. I know he didn't plan on going to a hotel. He didn't bring back a change of clothes or pack a bag. He just went for a day, planning to come back that night. Am I overreacting for having this bad feeling like something is very wrong? No, absolutely not. You're not overreacting. You have every right to be concerned about this. There's a level of trust that we're supposed to develop in a relationship. That's true. But there's also a level of transparency that we need. You don't just go out in the middle of nowhere and don't respond to your girlfriend or your boyfriend after how many hours of no contact. One of the worst things that you can do in a relationship is to say nothing. It drives the other person insane. It's the reason why silent treatment is a form of punishment that most girlfriends do to their boyfriends. Not being around, being a ghost to his girlfriend after a party, and going to a hotel too is a big red flag. A sloppy text message for reassurance won't do. Press him on it, and keep going until you get the answer you deserve, whether it's good or bad news. Post 2. The next story is from Athera Bloom. Am I overreacting because he said I embarrassed him for crying at the funeral? I've been dating my boyfriend for a year. We met in college, and honestly, I thought he was different, kind, calm, and emotionally mature. At least, that's what I thought. Recently, one of my childhood best friends passed away suddenly. It hit me really hard. I hadn't seen her as often lately, but she was still someone I loved deeply. I went to the funeral with my boyfriend because I didn't want to go alone, and he said he'd be there for me. And at the funeral, I cried. A lot. I wasn't loud or dramatic. I just couldn't stop the tears. I was heartbroken. Afterward, in the car, my boyfriend went completely quiet. I asked him what was wrong, and he said something like, "You didn't have to make a scene like that. People were staring. You embarrassed yourself and me." I was stunned. I asked him what he meant, and he said I should have held it together like everyone else, and not made it about me. I didn't scream. I didn't collapse. I didn't interrupt anything. I just cried. At a funeral. For my friend. Since then, I've been cold toward him, and now he's saying I'm overreacting and being emotionally manipulative by being distant. I've been spiraling ever since. Was I really being too much? I know not everybody handles grief the same way, but I thought he would at least comfort me, not judge me for it. Am I overreacting, or is this a red flag? There's this trend lately of people going, "Don't make it about you," or "It's not about you." I mean, I understand where people come from when they do this kind of thing, but at the same time, this is a funeral. You can't exactly stop the flow of grief when it just pours out of your heart. It's overpowering, especially if you say you deeply love the person, and love is a powerful word, and I'll take your word for it. It's very unfair on his part to think that you were trying to make it about yourself, or you were putting on a show, or you could just hold it together. Losing somebody is always difficult, and while I don't think this is a red flag, I think this is something you and your boyfriend should talk about. I can kind of make sense of his perspective, but I think it's only fair that he sees things through yours too, especially since you were grieving. Post 3. Next up, a story from Starluigi. Am I overreacting? My boyfriend, 22 male, and I, 21 female, have been official for almost 4 weeks. He texted me after leaving me with his friends. Shortly after I arrived at a restaurant, they all planned to meet about how I wore my hair puffed up and not tamed whenever he brought me to nice restaurants. Before I got there, he had already ordered for both of us. Everything seemed fine until about 10 minutes later when I went to the bathroom. When I came back, his friends told me he stepped out, but I'm sure they knew what was going on based on their expressions. I waited about 15 minutes before he replied to my texts and ended up leaving money to pay for the food I didn't even get to eat. This was my 3rd time wearing my hair in its natural state since we've dated, and I didn't know he felt so strongly about this. I went home without answering him. I was really upset and told my roommate about it, but she brushed it off and insinuated that I was overreacting. It's been almost 2 days now, and I still don't know what to think. I feel like I'm going insane because everyone around me seems to think that it's not that big of a deal, and most of them laughed at the picture. I can't make an assessment if it's a red flag or if you're overreacting. There's a lot of missing context, and there's a lot of open air that needs to be addressed between you and your boyfriend before thinking of anything. I think you need to reach out to him first and ask his perspective before we can, say anything about it, frankly. Because for all we know, maybe he was upset about something completely unrelated to your hair. Because if it was all just about that, then you really need to settle things with him ASAP. But before any of that, just ask the guy, what's up? Post 4. The next post is from Separate Start 5530. Am I overreacting? Called 911. Got attitude instead of help. Last night, I witnessed a car crash. It was in Chicago on the interstate underneath the 47th Street Red Line station. There was some bad wreckage, and a woman managed to crawl out of the driver's seat of one vehicle. She collapsed and was crying in the arms of someone who had pulled over to help. In the other car, all I could see was a deployed airbag. I felt scared watching this. I called 911. The operator picked up and transferred me to the police department. I explained what had happened, and she asked for a location. I told them it was under the 47th Street Red Line station on the interstate. That was the best I could manage. The lady then says, "Okay, what am I supposed to do with that? What interstate is it?" I told her. I didn't know the number, and she said, "Well, that's not much of help now, is it?" Then she hung up, saying she had better calls coming through that may better help. I understand I could have been more specific, but I was also pretty shaken up. Plus, I just didn't know the name or the number of the interstate. Also, there's only one 47th Street Red Line station in the city. Her interaction with me felt condescending and like she was berating me. It was especially frustrating because now, instead of worrying about the victims of the crash, I'm over here pissed off at this lady. I don't know, am I being selfish? I do feel like I'm making it all about me here, but I don't agree that her behavior was just. I felt like I did what I should have. Man, first off, I'd like to know actually what ended up happening. Did they actually get help? Because if they did, that's great. I can kind of parse it like this. She might have thought you were a prank caller of some sort because people call police stations for stuff like this all the time, and it turns out they're just full of hot air, which is why she was being really specific. I remember listening to a couple of this police response, radio footage before, and a lot of them do sound like they don't care or they're giving you lip, but they speak in a monotone voice to be as calm as possible. And if I'm playing devil's advocate, like just to be completely charitable here, it really sounds like she probably thought you were just some prank caller wasting her time. There's really nobody at fault here. I completely understand why you were so shaken up that you couldn't remember the exact details or you couldn't put it together to find things out. But at the same time, she probably had her reasons, and I can respect that as well. It's hard to make assumptions because you can't see the person in the other end of the telephone. But at the same time, it's just really unfortunate because someone desperately needed help, and hopefully they got it, with or without the help of your call. Post 5! Am I overreacting? Called the police after an Amazon driver left me this note. I've been married to my husband for over 10 years, and we have 3 kids. He's a veteran working in private security, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have PTSD from childhood SA, and while therapy has helped me make a lot of progress, I still struggle, especially when I'm alone. Because of that, contactless delivery services are a lifeline for me. Groceries, packages, you name it. I never answer the door, too anxious, but I always try to show my appreciation by waving as they drive away, leaving drinks and snacks or tipping extra. The other day, I was bringing in some Amazon packages when a folded note slipped out. On the outside, it had my initials and the word discreet written on it. Inside was a handwritten message about my hair, smile, and my eyes, and added his number. I immediately checked our cameras and saw a blue Amazon van had parked outside our house for about 10 minutes before the driver got out. He walked up to the door with his face uncovered, but when he got close to the camera, he turned his head away and pulled up his mask. He left packages and the note, then walked back to his van, immediately pulling his mask down once his back was to the camera. So we started digging through older footage and found multiple clips of the same driver delivering packages over the past few weeks. In one video, taken just days before the note was left, the driver looks directly at the camera, smirks, and gives a very deliberate wink. I'm sure you can imagine at this point, my husband was ready to disembowel someone, and my nervous system was sounding the alarm bells. The police were contacted, but they said no laws were broken since there's really nothing they could do. However, the officer did call the number on the note and spoke to him. The message relayed to us was that the driver apologized, claimed he didn't mean to scare me, and assured the officer it wouldn't happen again. The officer felt it was likely a misunderstanding and said the man seemed genuinely upset about the situation. My husband is far from convinced that this was a misunderstanding and wants to contact Amazon to escalate the issue further. Meanwhile, I'm stuck trying to process this roller coaster and figure out if it's my past trauma making me overthink or sending off false alarms before I could cost someone their job. Maybe it was just an inappropriate attempt to leave a compliment. He did apologize, and the officer seemed pretty convinced. Did I take an awkward compliment and spiral out of control because of my own issues? Am I overreacting? I'm gonna get a lot of flack here, but I'm not gonna lay the blame on you. You feeling the way you do is perfectly understandable. I'm not going to put you down because you were shaken up by the whole incident. But at the same time, as far as the story is concerned, I don't even know if he knows you have a husband or if you're married, but some people just don't know how to give a compliment properly. Maybe it was a bit unprofessional for him to be doing that, but this sort of stuff happens all the time. When the officer got involved, he seemed to have backed down, and I can't see his face, nor do I know what exactly happened in the incident, so I don't know how genuine the apology was. It definitely wasn't a misunderstanding, though. This man knew what he was doing. He was trying to flirt with you, give a compliment, try to, as the kids say, rizz you up. Unfortunately, he just didn't have the charms for it. I don't think the guy has to lose his job. If the police can contact his number, maybe you could give the phone number to your husband and ask him to give him a stern talking to. That should help him leave you alone. Post 6! Our next post is from Sploshy. Am I overreacting? My sister's husband basically stole a TV during Black Friday and everyone's acting like it's fine. This just happened during Black Friday and I'm still processing it. My sister and her husband Mike went to Walmart for their Black Friday sale. According to them, it was absolute chaos. Hundreds of people everywhere, barely any workers, total mess. Mike managed to grab one of the doorbuster deals, a huge 65-inch TV that was marked down from $899 to $399. Apparently, the checkout lines were so insane that people just started walking out, like literally pushing their carts through without paying because there weren't enough workers at their registers, and security couldn't handle it. And my sister and Mike joined them. They walked out with a $400 TV because everyone else was doing it, and the store should have been better prepared. The part that really bothers me is that they were bragging about it at a family dinner yesterday, right in front of their kids, 8 and 10, and my kids, 7 and 12. They were laughing about their amazing deal like it was some funny story about outsmarting the system. I pulled my sister aside and told her this was basically stealing and set a terrible example for the kids. She got defensive, saying I'm being dramatic and that big stores expect this kind of loss during sales, and that it's not really stealing because the store couldn't handle their own sale properly. Mike jumped in, saying I need to chill and I'm probably just jealous I didn't get any deals. I'm honestly disgusted by the whole thing. Later, my kids were asking me if it's okay to not pay for stuff when stores are really busy, which just proves my point about what message this sends. My sister hasn't talked to me since I called her out, and my parents are saying I should apologize for making drama, and that it's none of my business, but someone needs to say something, right? Am I seriously overreacting here? Everyone's acting like this is just normal Black Friday behavior, and I feel like I'm going crazy. You know the reason why this is normal Black Friday behavior? Because there aren't enough people thinking the way you do. It's become a very normal thing nowadays to have no standards when it comes to moral behavior. And you can rationalize this as much as you want. They're probably just doing this to get rid of the material anyway. They're gonna make back the money lost for the bottom line anyway. That's not the important part here. The important part is the fact that entire groups of people think it's totally fine to gather in one area, stealing things just because everybody else is doing it. You're not supposed to normalize this kind of behavior in a healthy society. The world as it is already incredibly greedy and very materialistic. Just the act of joining in this wave of human zombies, elbowing each other for 5-finger discounts on plasma screen TVs, and basically acting like hyenas around a rotting carcass. It was brought to my attention once that zombie movies seem to parody this innate drive for humans to just take and take and take and eat and consume and not think about anything but their own base desires. And honestly, I used to think this interpretation was really pretentious, but when you see enough footage of waves of people World War Z style smashing through glass doors, squeezing through every nook and cranny of human bodies that they could go through just to get that one new gadget, it all just makes sense, doesn't it? And in front of the children too. It's this endless cycle of people just passing on these traits to their next of kin. It's not the giant TVs or the game consoles or any fancy shiny new toy that's going to be passed on to your kids and their kids. It's going to be this greedy behavior of people acting like freaking zombies just because some shiny new thing managed to waddle its way into snatching distance. Post 7! Our next post is from Individual Taylor 767. Am I overreacting? My girlfriend won't stop swapping out my real groceries with small versions of the items. It's basically what the title says. But the weird part is, she won't ever admit that it's her. She just sort of looks at me and pretends to be confused when I confront her. Basically, every few weeks I come home and some of my groceries are missing and replaced with miniature plastic versions of themselves. Come home from work looking forward to Coca-Cola. Oh great, my Coca-Cola is gone. And then there's this miniature plastic version. Break something small and need to tape it back together? Oh good, miniature duct tape. Make eggs and want some Tabasco? Oh great, miniature Tabasco. You get the point. Kinda funny, but pretty annoying too. So far, all fair play. Clearly, my girlfriend thinks it's some sort of funny prank or practical joke, but the thing that's weirding me out is that she never acknowledges it's her. Even when I start to genuinely get upset or frustrated, she insists it's so strange that random objects are shrinking in our home. This all culminated last night. Last night, I came home, and I had been craving something sweet all day, so I started baking blueberry muffins, my genuine favorite treat for myself. I get everything together, preheat the oven, and I'm about to start making the batter when I open the cabinet. And oh look, the flour is gone and replaced with a miniature bag of flour. Haha, so funny. I immediately call her and ask her where she put it, but she keeps playing dumb. I start making a slightly bigger deal about it. I'm like, look, I went to the store to get fresh blueberries. I've been looking forward to this. Can you please tell me where the flour is? She won't drop the act. Like, what the hell? Before we ended the call, she slightly dropped, as if you needed more muffins, and hung up. Like, what the hell? I haven't called her back yet, so we haven't talked in over a day. I'm pretty mad at her over this. I went way out of my way to do something special for myself, and she wouldn't drop the yak when I made it clear I was genuinely upset. I know this sounds insane, but I'm genuinely considering breaking up over this. She clearly doesn't take my needs seriously. Do you guys think I'm overreacting? Update. Turns out it was my brother playing a prank on me he saw on TikTok. My girlfriend apologized for her snide comment about the muffins, but also suggested I've been gaining a lot of weight lately, and was annoyed that I kept pointing the finger at her. Well, seeing as you kind of updated it with your little brother doing the whole TikTok prank and all, I don't think there's much to say. The whole thing was so strange. I was thinking about super weird scenarios like, maybe all the stuff wasn't growing small. Maybe you were actually secretly growing big, and whatever. But it kind of logically doesn't make sense because it's all the new stuff that gets small. Well, anyway, good to know that the whole thing kind of resolved itself over. I think you should take your lady out for a date or something. You know, treat her real nice. I feel like the two of you need to air out a few things or, you know, makeup and stuff. Oh man, sorry about the hassle, dude. Post 8! The next post is from OKJelly6298. Am I overreacting for threatening to take my sister to court after her toddler destroyed my $2,000 gaming setup because I should have baby-proofed my apartment. I, 25 female, am a student software developer, a pretty serious PC gamer in my free time. I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment that I've spent years making cozy and functional. I saved up for a long time to build my dream PC setup. Triple monitors, custom mechanical keyboard, ergonomic chair, the works. Altogether, my rig is worth a bit over $2,000, and I take care of it like it's a damn child. Last weekend, my older sister, 30 female, asked if she could crash at my place for one night because her apartment was being fumigated and her husband was out of town. She has a 3-year-old son, Max, who's, let's say, spirited. I love him, but he's a little chaos goblin. I hesitated, but she swore she'd keep an eye on him, and that it'd just be one night. They show up on Saturday afternoon, and immediately it's clear she wasn't kidding about Max being a handful. Within 10 minutes of arriving, he pulled 4 books off my shelf, thrown my houseplants on the floor, and spilled juice on my area rug. I tried to stay chill. He's 3, I get it, but I asked my sister politely to please keep him out of my office where my PC setup is. She rolls her eyes and goes, "He's just exploring, he's curious, it's normal." She closes the office door anyway. Cut to Sunday morning, I woke up to screaming. Max, apparently woken up before his mom, managed to open the office door and decided my setup was his new jungle gym. He pulled down one of my monitors, cracking the screen. He stuck crackers into the PC's tower ventilation slots. I'm not kidding. Yanked out my keyboard's keycaps and had colored on my chair with permanent marker. The cherry on top? He poured apple juice into the tower. Into it. When I tell you I went silent, I mean dead silent. My sister came in and saw the damage and just said, "Oh no," in this incredibly flat tone, like someone knocked over a cup of coffee. I started freaking out and she had the audacity to say, "You should have baby-proofed the room if it was that important to you." I lost it. I told her that 1, she knew he wasn't supposed to be there. 2, this is my space, not a damn daycare. And 3, baby-proofing a $2,000 gaming setup is not a standard requirement for adults living alone. She told me to calm down and said that he's just a kid and stuff is replaceable. I told her she should replace it then. She said she didn't have the money right now, but maybe in a few months she could give me a few hundred. I told her that wasn't acceptable and she needed to take full responsibility. She left in a huff, and now my whole family was blowing up my phone. My mom said I'm being materialistic and should understand that my nephew didn't mean it. My dad said I should have locked the door if it was that important. My brother actually said, "Why do you even need 3 monitors anyway? That's kind of overkill." I filed a claim with my insurance, but there's no guarantee it'll be covered since it was technically guest damage. I told her that if she does not pay up, I'll take her to court for what happened. Now, I'm getting texts from my sister demanding an apology for blaming her kid for being curious. I told her I'd drop it if she covered the cost of repairs and replacements, or at least met me halfway, and she blocked me. So, am I overreacting if I take my sister to court over this? Update, my sister still has not unblocked me, but her husband reached out to find out what happened. We're working on a solution if possible. He's been really understanding. Also, to clarify the office situation, my 1-bedroom apartment is on the smaller side, 33 meters square or 355 square feet, so the landlord converted an old ex-clothes cabinet into a makeshift office. It's weird, but the building is from the 40s, and I guess they had to get creative with the space with an old tenant or something. So it's a living room. Sister and her kids slept there, plus kitchen. I slept there. The office. Alright, look man, I know you're frustrated. I would be too. It is so freaking annoying. The reason why your sister's kid is acting that way is because he's being allowed to act that way. His parents could be spoiling him or leaving him unattended or just tolerating that kind of behavior. I share your frustration completely and I would be totally pissed off if my siblings were doing the same with me. But I don't think taking her to court is the right solution. It's an overreaction. But hear me out. I understand it's more than just a material value of your computer over here. It's the fact that your boundaries and the respect that they had for your property was completely violated. But at the same time, this is family. They were already up in arms about the fact that you were so mad for defending your computer, and you have a right to defend your posterity. However, suing is a whole nother ballgame. You might want to consider your options a lot more carefully here. With the update you gave about her husband reaching out to you, that seems to be a great way out. Please, 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 please solve this peacefully and in a way that doesn't leave your family, talking to each other about this, or having bad blood or burning bridges, because it's your family. And at the end of the day, you want your family to have your back. Hash this out with your sister, because this isn't behavior from a child that should be tolerated. Thanks for watching Tommy Threads. If you enjoyed this emotional roller coaster of strange situations, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your favorite story in the comments. And hit the bell if you love diving into these stories. I know I did. See ya!